Hey, what's up, guys? Tukey here, back again with another episode of A Nation United. And damn it, let's have some fun. After the disappointment known as the last episode, getting booted out of the playoffs, and then not getting exactly what we needed in the draft. In fairness, we did end up with a decent defenseman, that is for sure. But we're looking for a bit of a pick-me-up in today's episode. And I don't know, trades for the sake of trades? Maybe getting rid of certain players that are underperforming consistently and I'm just sick and tired of looking at. Not mentioning anybody in particular. But no. Let's see what happens. This could end up being an interesting episode for a couple of different reasons. Marcus Högberg, you need yourself a contract, and a contract you will get. I really wish you had just ended up living up to your potential. It would have made things so much easier for me in this series, but you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Defenseman Hampus Lindholm needs a deal, and a deal he shall get, looking for $7.8 million per. We'll get to knock that down to 6.65. Hell of a contract there. Whether or not he gets traded for a certain Norris winner that we've had on this team before, well, that remains to be seen, but we'll find out, won't we? Now, my God, John Klingberg isn't looking for much, and we're going to get to knock this down to 5.875. Is that not one of the better contracts you have ever seen in this game? That is a crazy good deal, which makes me feel a bit better about picking him over, say, Erik Karlsson. Now, I picked him over Karlsson for a couple of different reasons, but I'm just saying, in hindsight, that turned out to be a pretty damn decent deal now, didn't it? And we'll worry about our new big-time defenseman later on. I just want to get everybody else re-signed. Philip Forsberg needs a deal. We'll get to knock this down to a pretty decent number as well. 5.85. Not too shabby for the first line winger. Hopefully he can continue to rebound a bit. I think we can knock that down to 900 even, I think. If not, it'd be 925. I mean, if he declines, all I have to do is just kick it up a little bit. But that's fine. And then centers, Elias Anderson, looking for his first big boy contract. He's actually looking for quite a bit more than I thought he would, which might be a good sign. We'll be able to knock this down to 3.725, which is pretty sweet. Elias Peterson, how much longer are you going to be around for? That I cannot answer. Schustrom, low top 9, 72 overall at 21 years old. I don't know, man. I know low potential players can pan out. I think I'm just going to let him go to free up the contract spot. And what are the odds he turns in anything? I mean, we have seen, and of course, it was always a possibility, but particularly with Draft to Glory, we have seen that players of that caliber can end up being somewhat decent, but I just don't want to invest the time into into that particular player. Everybody accepted, though, which is good, and hopefully, as we sim to free agency, there are a couple of decent surprises on the market. That would be nice. Maybe, actually, I don't know. I don't even know who would be available. Just somebody that would actually be worth picking up. That would be sweet, but that's probably too much to ask for. Let's find out. Are there any big names in free agency this year? Oh my God. Rickard Rakell and Oliver Ekman-Larsson are both available. Okay. Backstrom's also available as well. Or Backlund, sorry. Oh my God. Jonathan Dahlin's available too. Oh my God. Well, this might turn into an episode to remember. Gustav Olofsson, Silfverberg is here. Grabner. Wow. Well, Melker Karlsson. We have some work to do because there are some players available. Holy shit. Goaltenders, do we have anybody? No, we don't. Wow, Drager's up to an 89 overall as a fringe starter potential. Holy shit. That is crazy. I mean, prospect-wise, there's not going to be anybody. Yeah, you have Soderstrom and Gustafsson, but they're not. Or at the time, they didn't develop. Neither did Adam Warner. We need to go clear out some cap space. That is what we have to do right now. We have to go clear up some cap space. And some contract spots. Now, if I'm remembering right, obviously I hinted towards trading Robin Lehner. He is the best Swedish goalie available. But there's Oscar Dansk is someone I remember looking at numerous times, but he just never quite developed. There he is. He's an 86. He was fringe starter, so I never expected him to be better than 83 or 84, but he's up to an 86. And I noticed that as I was looking at some stats off screen. You might call this move into question. I'm getting rid of Robin Lehner, and I'm sending him to Winnipeg. I'm sick of him. I don't want to see his face anymore, and we'll go with a Dansk-Hogberg tandem. Now, Winnipeg, they don't want to trade a first-round pick. Damn. Yeah, well, I don't know. What if I were to do a first, second, and third? What would they say to that? No. How about just the first and the second? No. First-round pick? No. Okay, so no first-round pick. Let's try to cheese the second and thirds, though. Let's see if that will work. That didn't. How close is it, though? That's my question. What if we tack on the sixth-round pick from Toronto? Just to try and gauge how close we are. I just want to see. Not that I want to give up any assets, but, I mean, you know, low-end picks, who really cares? So we need just a touch. There we go. I had a feeling we were close. So we'll just tack on the Washington fourth. That should go through. And indeed it does. Robin Lehner off to Winnipeg in exchange for Oscar Dansk and their next two second and third round picks each. A lot of people might call that into question, but damn it, after the disappointment from last season, it's time to try some risky moves. And that is certainly a risky move. Now, defensively, you know, I talked about maybe trading Lindholm for Victor Hedman. But if we can get OEL, that would certainly change things. Let's see here. You know what? I'm willing to get rid of Linus Arneson. We can find somebody else to play that role. Maybe even just have Magnuson at the NHL level. Or Eric Braunstrom. So I'm willing to get rid of Arneson to clear out a roster spot. I'm also willing to get rid of Hedin, who's low top 6, just to clear up a contract spot. Who else do we have that we could get rid of? Eriksson, we'll get rid of you. Low top 9, I'll pass, thanks. Anybody else? We have another Lehner. We'll get rid of him. No forwards I really want to get rid of there. No. Any centers? Wenberg. Wenberg would be a solid guy to get rid of here. $5 million. Because what I'm thinking is our top line, and actually here, let me take a look. We have the Nylanders and Forsberg. Elias Lindholm is a second line guy still? Yes, he is. Although he's, yeah, that's a bit shaky. That's a morale thing. Hopefully he can rebound. Jens Luke is also, and I know it's like low-key apparently, I'm going to keep saying Luke, is a second line forward. And then Elias Anderson, listed as a third liner, good enough to be a second liner. He just can't shoot the puck. So let's look to get rid of Wenberg too. Let's just fucking clear out this team. Wow, that brings us down to 64 mil. Where could we possibly send all these people? St. Louis is an option, but is there an option? In the East Coast, yes, there is. The Ottawa Senators. We do have Victor Arvidsson, but it's not like we need them. And yes, they want to trade their picks as well. Will that go through? Oh my god, it did. Well, turns out we could have gotten a little bit more for them, but you know what? I don't care. It clears out contract spots, and it clears up cap space. We just traded 5 people to Ottawa for all of their picks this year. Thank you. Appreciate it. $65 million on the cap now. All right. Could have gotten more for that. I don't really care. Is there anybody else I want to get rid of? Not really. Actually, here, let me take a look at the ages just to see. Is there anyone like 25 years old that's still in the AHL? No, but there are 24-year-olds. That's pretty much the final year where they actually really start to develop. But All right, so we're good for now. We have 44 contract spots. Let's see if we can do some damage here. We have 15 million bucks to spend, which creates an interesting situation. Now, goaltending, where we're good. Defense. Like, that's the thing. Do I want to go after OEL and then just immediately trade him or Lindholm? Because I could do that. I could definitely do that. Sign one, trade him for Hedman, and then just trade the other for picks. Is there anybody else? Slavin, I think, is an option for us, but I'm not entirely sure. We have Gustav Olofsson. Not really the best option for us, though. Are there any defensive prospects? England, but he's 26. Yeah, it doesn't really look like it. Ombul is probably not, I would assume. Yeah, okay, so no prospects for us. I mean, if there were, we would have acquired them already. So do I go after OEL? Or do I try to put that money towards some of these other guys? I mean, Jonathan Dahlen, I think, is my main target. Let's see. So you still have Forsbach Carlson there. 25 years old, 82 overall. Chubarov, you would assume, is Russian. Jonathan Dahlen, though, 24 years old, 85, or 24 years old, 85 overall. All right, he's the first guy we're sending an offer to, no doubt about it. I'm going to bump that up to, let's go 3.9, and fingers crossed that he accepts. Is there anybody else? Is there anybody else? Schoenborn. Philip All's 25, so no. Yeah, it's not looking too good for us here. Alright, no, whatever. I'll double check. You have Zontag, but I'm 22 years old. Is there anybody with high bottom six potential? Might as well do my due diligence here to take a look. Ein, but no. Lindbergh, no. Yep, slim pickings here. Free agent-wise. Okay. Oh my god, do I try to get Raquel? And do I try to get Ekman Larson, who I've never had in a series because they'll never trade him. This is the first time I've ever seen him hit the free agent list. But that's the thing. Like, I can go after him, or like, we don't exactly need Backlund, but he wouldn't be a bad pickup for us. We could have him on the third line, and that could mean bumping Eriksson Ek up to the second, or at least having him on the third line. He had 2 60-point seasons in a row. Oh my god. And then, again, you could bring in somebody like a Silfverberg, like a Grabner, Melker Karlsson. Is there anybody else down here? I mean, Marcus Kruger could be a fourth-line center for us. I think that's pretty much it, unless I'm overlooking anybody. All right. So do we go after the big names, or do we go after... I mean, because that's the thing. Let's be honest here. If we get Rickard Rakell, we could do the same thing where he's on the second line. But man, I don't know if we can afford this. I don't know if we can afford this. Let me take a look. Are there any other contracts we could clear out to try and save some money here to do some incredible damage? Let's see. Elias Lindholm's down to an 85. Oh my god. Alright, so I could get rid of Elias Lindholm. Not that I want to, and people would freaking just kill me for that trade. I could probably get him to bounce back morale-wise by just making him captain. But $6 million for a second-line guy. I could trade him, and then the second line next year could be Luke Anderson and Eriksson Ek, who is also... I mean, the entire team is suffering from a morale crisis right now. But that could be the second line next year. And then we could bring in Backlund, who could be the second or third line guy. Or we could have Raquel. Damn, man. That's tough. That is tough. Let me take a look at defense. And nobody else is on a really big contract right now. Except for, for our two best defensemen. So do I trade Elias Lindholm? Or do I hold on to him and hope that the second line next year is Lindholm, Luke, and Anderson? Basically, do I want to go after Rickard Rakell again and have him on the second line? As it is right now, the team is in crisis mode. I don't think I can afford to trade anybody else. We're going to have a really tough time getting this team back to where they should be overall-wise, just because of the players I've traded. So it might just be best. We have a top 2 pairing. We have a top, we have a top line. So it might just be best to go for these secondary pickups on offense. But obviously it is tantalizing to go after Ekman-Larsson. That would be pretty sweet. Oh, so there was just... So I could go after Olofsson again and have him on a line on the 3rd pairing, I should say. And then forwards. So we have about $12 million, $11 million to spend here. So Backlund, Silfverberg. I could go after Grabner. At the very least, I'm going to go after Backlund. We'll bump it up to 4.8. We'll see what he says. Is there anybody else? Silfverberg. How has Silfverberg done lately? 24 points. All right, so not great. Just trying to think who we have on the team. That's the thing. There's a chance, though, if we sign Silfverberg, Grabner, or whoever, that they just end up being traded anyway. Same with Melker Karlsson. Oh, boy. This is actually a bit more difficult than I expected it to be. I didn't expect to have this many options. This is probably the best free agent class we've had available to us. So let's see. Right now, you're looking at Nylander, Forsberg, Anderson, Luke, Lindholm, Davidson, Ek, Grundstrom, Peterson. All right, so we are pretty much good to go. Grundstrom and Peterson will be on the 4th line. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. All right, so hold on. 1st line, 2nd line, 3rd line. So yeah, Dahlin and Backstrom, that would actually be one too many as it is, as far as players in their role. So even if we sign Backstrom, it's looking like I might trade him, unless I get rid of Elias Lindholm right now. In which case that would make sense. And then we'd probably put Boqvist on the 4th line. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is tough. Kind of wish I didn't send that offer out to Backlund. Dahlin at the very least. But you know what? Let's just throw an offer out there and see what happens. And we'll see who accepts their offers first. And we'll try to make the best of it. Let's bump that up to 7.5. Fuck it. We'll see what happens. Rather than signing the Silfverbergs and players like that, who could probably help, you got to factor in some of the players that we have already, those fringe players. Screw it. Let's see what happens. And we get an offer from Middlestat that we cannot accept. All right, what's going to happen here? Who's going to accept first? Raquel. Oh, yeah, apparently we didn't offer you the $. Sure, he's off to the Devils. Backlund doesn't want to sign. Dahlin accepted, and OEL actually accepted. So we're not good enough for Mikael Backlund, but we are good enough for Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Figure that one out. So cap-wise, what are we looking at here? What are we looking at? $6 million. So I think I'll just sign whoever, and then we'll end up trading people away as we need to. So let's see, is there anybody else worth getting here? I could bump up the offer to Backlund, which wouldn't necessarily be the worst idea. We could use someone like Olofsson for the 3rd pairing defense, although I am guessing our new defenseman is going to improve even further. So we could go for Olofsson, Silfverberg, or I can just go for Backlund. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just go for the best player available, and then if I end up trading him away for picks, let's do it. Let's offer Backlund $5 million even. We can afford to do it. Let's do it. We'll see if he accepts. And then we'll move forward to the start of the preseason, where a lot of questions will be answered as far as progression goes and what we're really looking at here with this team. Because, yeah, this has definitely changed. I didn't expect this episode to go this way. Backlund has now accepted. let's sim the next season. I think we're good. I mean, we can't afford to sign anybody else anyway, so we'll sim to the start of the next year. Very good chance some players get traded away, but that's fine. As Elias Anderson loses even more morale. Hooray! Because we can afford to have that happen. Not really. But the team is in such an interesting spot. I did just trade away Robin Lehner after all. There wasn't really a set plan, as I can admit. But that's fine. I kind of like the unpredictability of this, and we'll just see where this team ends up. I kind of like not having the set plan for this team. Hasn't worked so far. So we'll see what happens. And again, if we decide, okay, we're going to trade Backlund, I'll probably do any further trades in the next episode so that I can at least scout things out. We might need that extra third pairing defenseman. We might need another fourth line guy. Someone like Marcus Kruger, though, might still be available on the free agent list, and he could fill that role. But I don't know. Let's take a look at this team. Let's find out what's going on. And actually, here, let me go to manage contracts first. Still have 47 locker room chemistry. Wonderful. I'm sorry I had to blow the team up, guys, in a way. Not completely. But a lot of players deserve to get shit-canned. So let's see. Magnuson's only a 78. I was hoping for a little bit better progression than that, obviously. And it just didn't happen. And we will sign Stefan Dockel as well. Only a 59. That is very unfortunate. But, alright, let's take a look at the team. And we'll figure out what's going on. And whether or not we can somehow survive this morale crisis. This is potentially the worst it's ever been in a series of mine, which I'm not all that surprised given the amount of players I traded away. But we have Hogberg and Donsk with Per Nylander as the starter down in the AHL. Defensively here, and actually Bronstrom really stepped up, which is great news for us. He's up to an 84, so that solves our issue, and Magnuson can play down at the AHL level. I mean, obviously now we have Ekman Larsson, and given his contract, I mean, he'd be great to have. But seeing as we're paying, you know, $9 million less just about for Lindholm, I'd say Ekman Larsson is the one that has to go. And then for forwards here, Steen can be sent down. Is Gunnarsson a depth scorer? No, he's still a minor league scoring forward. Alright, let's double check here. Eriksson Ek hasn't really bounced back, unfortunately. Let's do that switch. So the fourth line would be Peterson, Grundstrom, and we'd have to get rid of somebody else. It would... Wow, Davidson actually jumped up to a second-line guy. Holy shit. Which means it would probably be Backlund that ends up getting moved. So the two guys we just signed, it's kind of cheap, but we'll end up getting assets for them. Which means we'll probably end up calling up Gunnarsson or Olvestad. That I am unsure of. Maybe even Jesper Boqvist or Rasmus Asplund, just because he's 24 years old now. We need to see if he's going to progress at all. It might be too little too late for him. So, here, let's take a look. Let's take a look again. So our first line is set. Second line, I mean, Elias Lindholm hasn't completely bounced back. That's tough. See, I think we would... I don't think Backlund would be the type of guy to play the fourth line willingly, and that wouldn't really be getting the best out of him. So we could send him down. Let's say we were to also send down Ekman Larsson, for example, and we call up Asplund just to see if we actually have anything with him. So we'll go edit lines, and we'll look at what this team's shaping up to be, which is an interesting team at the very least. So let's go with Dahlin on the left, Lindholm at center. And actually, no, wait, Dahlin's a third-line guy, so it would be Davidson, Lindholm, Luke. Eriksson Ek is down to an 82 because of this morale crisis. Oh my god. Wow, that's a rough spot for us to be in, man. Wow, I didn't expect them to decline that much. We'll go with Anderson, Dahlin, and Eriksson Ek. And then the fourth line, Asplund, Grundstrom, and Peterson. I know that they're all playmakers, which could be a bit of a problem. Just a bit. I mean, you could put Gunnarsson there. Like I said, Olvestad as well is 22 years old. You could definitely put Gunnarsson there instead of Asplund, and we could just trade him away, which wouldn't be too bad, I don't think. So let's see what that would look like. Or we could keep Asplund just to you know, to have the AHL squad still be a bit strong. But let's go best lines there, and then we'll go best lines here again. No, I don't want to scratch player best lines. Thank you. So that's what that line would look like. And Peterson is the better guy. See, I mean, the team's not looking too bad. The big question is, can these guys rebound from this morale crisis that we are currently in? And then defensively, I mean, it's still looking really good, I'd say, especially now with Erik Brannstrom there. You could argue, of course, trading Hampus Lindholm and keeping Oliver Ekman-Larsson. You could argue trading Hampus Lindholm and reacquiring Victor Hedman. The problem is Lindholm is the top two guy, very well-rounded defenseman, and he's on a sweetheart of a deal. So is John Klingberg. I mean, we have these two locked up long-term on great deals. I mean, obviously with Ekman-Larsson, you know what you're getting. He's an offensive fucking juggernaut. But would he be the guy to keep? You know what? I think I'll actually leave that decision up to you guys. So we'll talk about that more in a second. But other than that, I think we're pretty much good. It actually starts off Högberg as the starter, which is fine. I mean, they're a tandem, so we'll see what happens. And then in the AHL, what do we have for scratched players right now? Quite a few guys, which isn't all that surprising. We'll see what Nylander can do as the starter. Backlund is a third-line scoring forward. All right, so we are in an interesting enough spot. We're locked in. Our first line is locked in. You could, I mean, I guess some people might argue for trading Philip Forsberg. Maybe. I'm not entirely sure if people would prefer that. It's an interesting discussion. I mean, as opposed to getting someone like Rickard Rakell. Second line's pretty much locked in. Fourth line's definitely locked in. I want to see what we have with these players, right? Carl Grundstrom being 24 years old, you could argue now would be the right time to cut ties with him and give that spot to Olvestad. So you know what? I want your help. Jesper Boqvist as well, 23 years old. It's really his last chance to develop. So you know what? I want your opinion. I want your help to help me craft this team any further. So your first question. What do we do? Damn it. How to phrase this? All right, so here's the dilemma. The second line center. Well, but then again, man, if we trade anybody else, we're so fucked because of the morale. So here's what I'm thinking. The second line center can be Elias Lindholm or Jonathan Dahlen, right? We could keep the team the way it is. We could trade Lindholm, call up Dahlen, or Elias Anderson for that matter, right? And then have Backlund as the third line center. We could trade Carl Grundstrom and have someone like Boqvist or Olvestad be called up. 24 years old, you're pretty much locked into the overall that you have. And then on defense, who's our first line left wing, or our top pairing left wing going to be? Is it going to be Elias Lindholm, Victor Hedman, or Oliver Ekman-Larsson? It can only be one, and we have to make that decision. But other than that, other than those major decisions, we are pretty much good to go. I mean, especially defensively, I think we're fine. But how will this team perform once we make these final changes is the big question. And then defensively, of course, we'll have like Magnuson on the top pairing. But yeah, guys, I want to hear from you. What do we do with Lindholm? What do we do with Backlund? What do we do with Oliver Ekman-Larsson or Hampus Lindholm? So many decisions, but I want your input. What do you think we should do? Who stays and who goes? as we try to once again craft this team into a winner. That has been easier said than done, though, throughout the series. But guys, that will do it for this episode of A Nation United. We will finalize this team in the next episode and begin the sim on our next season. I'm anxious to see what happens. I'm looking forward to it, though, I have to admit. I hope you guys feel the same way. If you do, feel free to leave a like on the video to help support me and the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't already to continue following this series and others, and to make sure that you never miss a video. You could also join the notification squad to ensure that, and follow me on Twitter as well for updates, giveaways, and other random stuff. Guys, I will see you next time. Goodbye.